And on top of our bill tonight, the Volta River Authority, VRA, says it has procured about 1 million barrels of crude oil for its thermal plants in the western region and Tema, following the cut in gas supply from the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah.
It also says it will also purchase between 50 and 100 megawatts of power from La Côte d'Ivoire to augment Ghana's power generation capacity in the next 2 weeks.
Production, storage and offloading vessel FPSO Kwame Nkrumah has been shut down for mandatory maintenance works for 2 weeks starting March 20. This is expected to impact power generation from the Aboise Thermal Enclave, Ameri and Asogli thermal plants. According to the VRA, it will complete the switch of all dual-fuel thermal plants to run on light crude oil before close of week.
We have made the adequate preparations to buy crude oil. We got almost 1 million, to be precise, 950,000 barrels. We discharged 300,000 barrels in Tema for our plant in Tema, and then we are on the way to discharge 400,000 barrels in Takrady. The extra 200 will be discharged again in Tema. So we've done adequate preparations to have enough stock of crude oil to take care of our operations for the machines.
The VRA says peak demand is currently around 2,000 megawatts, while total power generation is around 2,200 megawatts. The chief executive of the VRA, Engineer Kek Kofi, says Ghana is negotiating to receive close to 100 megawatts of power from Ivory Coast to augment the power situation when needed.
I was in Ivory Coast with the Deputy Minister of Power, Honorable Jinapo, and the Chief Executive of Gridco to talk to them for some extra power supply. They were willing, and over the weekend they are able to give us enough, and weekdays off peak they are able to give us something, but peak time they reduce it. So that's what the situation is. I've also been to Nigeria to talk to our Nigeria counterparts.
Meanwhile, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, says the shutdown of the FPSO will knock out close to 400 megawatts from the national grid.
The energy policy think tank urged players in the sector to readily issue a load-shedding timetable should a challenge be encountered.
The Ghana National Gas Company was receiving close to 100 million standard cubic feet of gas before the shutdown of the FPSO. The Ameri plant, which relies solely on gas, would stop producing the 250 megawatts of power due to the shutdown, with Asogli power plant also suspending 150 megawatts of power generation.
We have other plants in the Takrady enclaves which can shift from gas to light crude oil. So what we need to do is to transition those plants to the use of light crude oil. If we are lucky, it will be a smooth transition and you wouldn't have a problem. But sometimes when you are transitioning, you have problems because the nozzles can get clogged and you have to shut down and re-examine them. And that could take a week or two to get them back working.
According to ACEP, players in the power sector can only rely on load shedding if they encounter any challenge in switching dual fuel plants to run on crude.
Looking about 400 megawatt loss from our generation. So that is quite significant. How can that be offset? We now see that there is some reserve margin of about 100 megawatt that can come to reduce the deficit to about 300 megawatt. If we have enough water in Akosombo Dam, we can force it to generate more. Bui can also give some amount. But again, that will have to be assessed really well technically to make sure that we are not stretching those plants